The smell hit me first, that mix of antiseptic and decay that clings to everything in a house where someone's dying. I was scrubbing dried oatmeal off Grandma Hazel's nightstand when my phone buzzed with another text from my sister Violet. "Still playing nurse? Girl, you're wasting your life. Come to Miami with us." Attached was a photo of her and Brinley lounging by some infinity pool, designer sunglasses reflecting the sunset. I deleted it without responding and went back to cleaning. My name is Lexis, and for the past 3 years I've been the only one who showed up. "Lexis, honey, could you bring my cocoa?" Hazel's voice drifted from the bedroom, paper thin, but still commanding. I heated the milk the way she liked it. Real vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, whipped cream that I made by hand because the canned stuff tasted like chemicals. The Graham estate creaked around us, all 14 rooms slowly surrendering to time. Paint peeled from the crown moulding like old skin, and half the radiators had given up years ago. "There's my girl." Hazel smiled when I entered, her fingers like bird bones against the quilt. At 82, she was still sharp as a blade, even if her body was failing. "Sit with me." I settled into the chair I'd claimed as mine, the one with the worn velvet arms where I'd spent countless nights reading to her, playing cards, listening to stories about the old days when this house hosted garden parties, and the Graham name meant something in this town. "Your mother called today," she said, watching my face. "Oh?" "Wanted to know if I needed anything. First time in 6 months." Hazel's laugh turned into a cough. I told her I had everything I needed right here. That was Hazel's way. She never said anything directly, but you always knew exactly what she meant. Mum had made exactly 3 visits since I'd moved in. Each time she'd spent more time photographing the antiques than talking to her own mother. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Mum herself. "Lexis, I hope you're not letting Grandma manipulate you into thinking this martyrdom act makes you special. You had a good job, a life. Now look at you." I showed Hazel the message. She read it through her thick glasses and shook her head. "Laura always did think love was a transaction," she said. "Give a little, expect a lot back." Maybe she's right, though. Maybe I am wasting my life. Hazel's grip on my hand was surprisingly strong. "Child, the only thing you're wasting is time worrying about people who wouldn't cross the street to spit on you if you were on fire." That was harsh even for Hazel, but I couldn't argue. When I'd quit my marketing job to move in here, Violet had laughed. Actually laughed. "You're going to change bedpans and clip coupons while the rest of us live our lives? That's so sad, Lex." Brinley had been more direct. "You know she's just going to leave everything to charity anyway, right? You're playing yourself." Even Gabriella, our cousin with the law degree, had pulled me aside at last year's Christmas gathering. "I'm just saying, if you're expecting some big inheritance, you might want to manage your expectations. Hazel's always been unpredictable." But they didn't know Hazel like I did. They saw an old woman with a crumbling house. I saw someone who remembered my birthday every year, who taught me to make pie crust from scratch, who still asked about my dreams even when everyone else had written me off. "Tell me again about the secret passages," I said, settling back in my chair. Hazel's eyes lit up. "Oh, this old house has more secrets than a politician's diary. Your great-great-grandfather built hiding spots everywhere. During Prohibition, they say he stored cases of whiskey behind the kitchen pantry. Did you ever find any?" "Maybe." Her smile was mischievous. "Maybe there are still treasures hidden in these walls, waiting for someone worthy to find them." I'd heard variations of this story dozens of times, but I never got tired of it. While my sisters posted about their latest shopping sprees and Mum complained about her book club drama, I was here, collecting stories that would die with Hazel if no one bothered to listen. Later that night, after I'd helped her with her evening medications and tucked her in like a child, Hazel called me back to her bedside. "Lexis, come here." Her nightstand drawer was open, and she pulled out a small velvet pouch, the kind jewellery comes in. It was worn soft with age, the burgundy fabric faded to dusty rose. "I want you to have this," she said, pressing it into my palm. The pouch was heavier than it looked, something solid shifting inside. What is it? When the time comes, you'll know what it reveals. Her eyes were serious now, none of their usual twinkle. Promise me you'll keep it safe. I promise. She squeezed my hand one more time. Good girl. Now go get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. I had no idea how long. Hazel died 3 days later, peacefully in her sleep. I found her that morning when I brought her usual cup of coffee, still clutching the romance novel she'd been reading. For a moment I just stood there, holding that stupid coffee mug, steam rising between us like her soul departing. The funeral was a circus. I wore the same black dress I'd owned for 5 years, simple, clean, appropriate. Everyone else looked like they were attending a fashion show. Violet arrived in a designer black ensemble that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget, complete with a dramatic wide-brimmed hat and oversized sunglasses. She'd flown in from Miami specifically for this, posting Instagram stories the entire drive from the airport. "Oh my God, Lexis!" She air-kissed me, careful not to smudge her lipstick. "You look so tired. Are you eating enough?" Brinley stumbled in 20 minutes late, reeking of last night's vodka and wearing a black cocktail dress that was entirely inappropriate for a funeral. She grabbed my arm for support. Sorry. Traffic was insane. She wasn't fooling anyone. The red eyes and shaky hands told the real story. Mum made her entrance like she was walking a red carpet, draped in black silk and pearls that had definitely not belonged to Hazel. She surveyed the modest crowd with obvious disappointment. "I told the funeral home we'd need more chairs," she announced to no one in particular. Mother had so many friends. Except most of Hazel's real friends had died years ago. The people here were mostly neighbours, a few church ladies and family members who hadn't spoken to her in months. Gabriella arrived with her husband, both of them looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. She gave me a tight smile and a brief hug. "So sorry for your loss, Lexis. Hazel was unique." The service was mercifully short. The pastor, who'd clearly never met Hazel, delivered a generic speech about her being a pillar of the community and devoted family matriarch. I wanted to laugh. Hazel would have hated every word. Violet cried dramatically during the eulogy, dabbing her eyes with a lace handkerchief while somehow managing not to disturb her makeup. Brinley checked her phone. Mum stared straight ahead with the expression of someone mentally calculating funeral expenses. After the burial, everyone gathered back at the house. I'd put out a simple spread, sandwiches, coffee, some of Hazel's favourite cookies that I'd baked that morning. "This is it." Mum surveyed the food table with obvious disdain. "Lexis, we have people here. It's what Hazel would have wanted. Hazel's not here anymore." Her voice was sharp. "Some of us have reputations to maintain." Violet was already taking selfies by the antique mirror in the hallway, angling for the perfect grief is beautiful shot. Brinley had found Hazel's liquor cabinet and was helping herself to the good whiskey. That's when Randall Waters cleared his throat from the doorway. Hazel's lawyer was a thin, serious man who'd handled the Graham family affairs for 20 years. He carried a leather briefcase and wore the expression of someone about to deliver news. "If I could have everyone's attention," he said, "Mrs. Graham requested that I read her will immediately following the service." The room went silent. Even Brinley put down her drink. "Of course," Mum said, smoothing her skirt. "We should handle this properly. Lexis, dear, why don't you sit over there?" She gestured to a chair in the corner, like I was a child being dismissed. Everyone arranged themselves in the living room like they were posing for a family portrait. Mum took the centre spot on the sofa, flanked by Violet and Brinley. Gabriella and her husband claimed the wing-back chairs. I stayed where I was, leaning against the door frame. Randall opened his briefcase and withdrew a thick document. The last will and testament of Hazel Margaret Graham, dated 6 months ago. 6 months ago, right around the time I'd moved in permanently. "I'll skip the legal formalities and get to the distributions," Randall said. To my daughter Laura, I leave my pearl necklace and my mother's china set, with the hope that she'll remember Sunday dinners with more fondness than obligation. Mum's smile was tight. China and pearls were nice, but everyone knew the real value was in the house and land. To my granddaughter Violet, I leave my collection of vintage brooches and the hope that she'll find something real to pin her identity to. Violet's face flushed, but she kept her Instagram smile in place. To my granddaughter Brinley, I leave my silver tea service with the wish that she'll learn to serve others as generously as she served herself. Brinley's mouth fell open. Tea service? That's it? To my granddaughter Gabriella, I leave my law books, though I suspect she's already learned everything she needs to know about taking what doesn't belong to her. Gabriella's husband shifted uncomfortably. Her face had gone pale. Randall paused, looking directly at me. And to my granddaughter Lexis, who showed me what family really means, I leave everything else. The house, all remaining personal property, jewellery, furniture, vehicles, and all financial assets including stocks, bonds and bank accounts. The silence stretched like a held breath. Then Mum exploded. What? That's impossible. She can't just... Randall, there has to be a mistake. There's no mistake, Laura. The will is very clear. How much? Violet's voice was barely a whisper. How much is everything else? Randall consulted his papers. The estate is valued at approximately $7.2 million. Brinley's whiskey glass hit the floor and shattered. The room erupted like a bomb had gone off. 7 million? Violet shot to her feet, her hat tumbling to the floor. That's impossible. She lived like a pauper. This is fraud. Mum's voice cracked with rage. Lexis manipulated her. She was old, confused. Mrs. Graham was of sound mind when she made this will, Randall said calmly. I have medical documentation to that effect. Brinley was on her hands and knees, picking up glass shards with shaking fingers. This isn't fair. This isn't fucking fair. Gabriella stood up slowly, her lawyer brain already working. Randall, I'll need to see all the documentation, mental capacity evaluations, witness statements, everything. This will can be contested. Of course. Randall's smile was thin. Mrs. Graham anticipated that reaction. I hadn't moved from my spot by the doorway. Everyone was yelling, but their voices sounded distant, like I was underwater. $7.2 million. Hazel had been secretly rich this entire time, living in that crumbling house, clipping coupons with me, pretending we couldn't afford to fix the heating. Lexis! Mum whirled on me. Say something. Tell them this is wrong. Is it wrong? I asked quietly. Of course it's wrong. You can't just take everything. We're family too. Are we? I walked to the old secretary desk in the corner and pulled out a cardboard box I'd prepared earlier. Because I have something for everyone. I set the box on the coffee table. Inside were items I'd collected over the years, things my family had left behind during their rare visits, forgotten in their hurry to leave. Violet, I pulled out a designer scarf, still with the tags on. You left this here 2 Christmases ago, said it was too cheap looking for your brand. Violet's face went white. That's not... And Brinley. I held up a pair of expensive heels. You left these after Mum's birthday party, said they were so last season you'd rather go barefoot. Brinley stopped picking up glass. Lexis, what are you doing? Mum. I pulled out a framed photo of our family from when I was 12. You left this when you helped Hazel move her bedroom downstairs. Said it was too depressing to look at old pictures. Mum's mouth opened and closed like a fish. And Gabriella... I held up a law school textbook. You left this when you came to check on Hazel's mental state last year. Forgot it when you rushed out after she wouldn't sign that power of attorney form. Gabriella's husband was staring at her. What power of attorney form? It was just a precaution, Gabriella stammered, in case she became incapacitated. She wasn't incapacitated, I said. She was sharp as ever. She just didn't trust you. I started handing out their forgotten items like party favours. Each person took their belongings with numb fingers. You know what's funny? I continued. Hazel used to save everything you left behind. She'd ask me, should I mail this to Violet? Or, do you think Brinley wants these shoes back? And I'd say, I'm sure they'll get them next time they visit. Lexis, please, Mum started, but there was never a next time, was there? Not really. You came for holidays, for appearances. You came when you needed something, but you never came just to see her. Violet was crying now, real tears that were ruining her makeup. That's not true. I loved Grandma. Did you? Because I remember the last conversation you had with her. You told her she was living in the past and needed to get with the times. You said this house was a money pit and she should sell it and move to a nursing home. I was trying to help. Were you? Or were you trying to get your hands on the money from selling it? Brinley stood up, glass forgotten. You think you're so perfect. You think you're better than us because you played nursemaid. No, I said quietly. I think I'm the only one who actually loved her. The silence that followed was deafening. Randall cleared his throat. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. Lexis will need to meet this week to discuss the estate transfer. Wait, Gabriella stepped forward. This isn't over. I'm filing a challenge first thing Monday morning. Undue influence, mental incapacity, coercion. Good luck with that, I said. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a voice memo. Hazel recorded this 6 months ago, right after she changed her will. I hit play. Hazel's voice filled the room clear and strong. This is Hazel Graham, and I am of sound mind and body. I want it known that I am leaving my estate to Lexis, because she is the only one who loved me without expecting anything in return. The rest of my family treated me like a burden, an obligation, a checkbook. Lexis treated me like a person worth knowing. The recording continued. I've watched them all these years, waiting for someone to prove me wrong, waiting for genuine love, not performed affection. Only Lexis passed that test. I stopped the recording. She made 12 of these, all witnessed and notarized. She was preparing for this moment long before she got sick. Mum sank back onto the sofa like her strings had been cut. You should have thought ahead, I said, echoing Violet's words from years ago. Like Hazel did. One by one, they filed out. Violet first, her designer heels clicking angrily on the hardwood. Brinley stumbled after her, still clutching those old shoes. Gabriella left with her husband, already on her phone with what sounded like another lawyer. Mum was the last to go. She paused at the door. This isn't you, Lexis. This coldness. She changed you. No, I said. She just helped me see clearly. After they left, I sat alone in Hazel's living room, surrounded by the echoes of their anger. The house felt different now, not empty, but peaceful, like it had been holding its breath for years and could finally exhale. That night, I found myself in Hazel's bedroom, staring at the old mirror above her dresser. Something about it looked different in the lamplight. I ran my fingers along the ornate frame and felt a slight give in one corner. The mirror swung open like a door. Behind it was a small cavity in the wall, and inside that cavity was a rolled-up piece of paper. I unrolled it carefully, and my breath caught. It was a hand-drawn map of the house, with several locations marked in red ink. At the bottom, in Hazel's spidery handwriting, Project Redemption, 7.2 Mayals was just the beginning. The phone call started the next morning. I let them all go to voicemail. Violet's voice, shrill with desperation. Lexis, we need to talk. Family should stick together. Brinley, slurring slightly. Come on, Lex. You can't just cut us out. We're sisters. Mom, using her guilt-trip voice. I raised you better than this. Call me back. I deleted them all and got to work. The map Hazel left showed 3 locations in the house marked with dollar signs. I'd already found the first, a loose floorboard in the pantry that revealed a metal box containing stock certificates worth another $500,000. The woman had been hiding money everywhere like a Depression-era squirrel. I was prying up floorboards in the library when someone knocked on the front door. Through the peephole, I saw my cousin Tate, all smiles and expensive suit. Lexis? "Hey there, stranger." He pulled me into a hug before I could stop him. "Sorry I missed the funeral. I was closing a big deal in Atlanta." Tate was Mum's golden boy, the family success story. Real estate agent, big house, perfect wife, 2 kids in private school. He'd never given me the time of day before. "What do you want, Tate?" "Straight to business, I like that." He followed me into the living room without being invited. "Look, I heard about the inheritance. Congratulations, by the way. Hazel always had good taste." I waited. "Here's the thing. This house is a money pit. Beautiful, historic, sure, but the maintenance costs alone will eat you alive. The property taxes, the repairs." He gestured at the peeling wallpaper. "You're looking at hundreds of thousands just to make it livable." And I have a solution." His smile got bigger. "I've got a client, a developer, who's very interested in this area. He's looking to build luxury condos, and this lot is perfect. Prime location, great bones, plenty of space." "You want me to sell Hazel's house so someone can tear it down?" "I want you to be smart about this, Lexis. You could walk away with 6, maybe 7 million cash. Clean, simple, no headaches." I picked up a dustcloth and started wiping down Hazel's antique side table. "And what's your cut?" "Standard commission, 3%. It's a win-win." 3% of 7 million. Tate stood to make over $200,000 if I said yes. "Let me think about it." "Of course. Take your time, but don't wait too long. Developers move fast and this market won't stay hot forever." After he left, I called Randall. "Tate's sniffing around," I told him. "Wants me to sell to some developer." "Interesting. Did he mention which developer?" "No, just said his client was interested." Randall was quiet for a moment. "Lexis, I think you should know. There's been some unusual activity around your property lately. Surveyors, soil testers, people taking photos, all perfectly legal, but what? But it suggests someone's been planning this for a while, before Hazel even died." That night I did some digging online. Tate's real estate company had a website full of glossy photos and testimonials. I scrolled through his recent sales, looking for patterns. There it was. 3 properties in the past year, all historic homes, all sold to the same development company, Pinnacle Properties, all for well below market value. I dug deeper. Pinnacle Properties was owned by a shell company, which was owned by another shell company. It took me 2 hours to trace it back to the real owner, Tate himself. He wasn't representing a client, he was the client. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Saw the obituary, so sorry for your loss, would love to catch up." Landon, my ex-boyfriend from before I moved in with Hazel. We'd dated for 2 years before he decided I wasn't ambitious enough for his 5-year plan. Funny how he was suddenly interested now. I ignored the text and went back to following Hazel's map. The second location led me to the basement, behind the old coal furnace. Another metal box, this one containing property deeds and legal documents I didn't understand. But there was also a manila envelope marked insurance policies. Inside were photos, lots of them. Pictures of Tate meeting with city officials, Gabriella at what looked like a law office with papers spread across a desk, even one of Mum going through Hazel's mail. Hazel had been watching them all. The third location was in the attic, tucked behind a beam. This box was different, newer with a digital lock, but there was a note taped to the top. "Your birthday backwards." I punched in the numbers. The lock clicked open. Inside were USB drives labelled with dates going back 3 years. I plugged the first one into my laptop. Video files, security camera footage from around the house, cameras I'd never noticed. The timestamp showed last Christmas, when the whole family had gathered for dinner. I watched Violet going through Hazel's jewellery box when she thought no one was looking. Brinley pocketing cash from Hazel's purse. Gabriella photographing legal documents with her phone, and there was audio too. Conversations they thought were private. Violet's voice. "The old bat can't live forever. When she goes, we split everything 4 ways, right?" Brinley. "Lexis won't fight us. She's too weak." Mum. The house alone is worth millions. We just have to be patient. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. Hazel had recorded everything. She'd known exactly who they were, and she'd documented it all. My phone rang. Tate again. "Hey, Lexis! I've been thinking about our conversation. My client is really eager to move forward. He's authorised me to offer $8 million cash, closing in 30 days. $8 million now. The price kept going up. That's very generous. It is, and honestly, between you and me, I don't think you'll get a better offer. This place needs so much work. You're probably right. So we have a deal? I looked at the video still frozen on my screen. Violet stuffing Hazel's antique brooch into her purse. "Let me sleep on it, Tate. I'll call you tomorrow." "Perfect. You're making the smart choice, Lexis. Hazel would be proud." After I hung up, I opened my laptop and started a new folder. I labelled it Project Redemption and began uploading files. Hazel had given me the ammunition. Now it was time to load the gun. I woke up to the sound of hissing. All 4 tyres on my car were flat, slashed clean through. Whoever did it hadn't been subtle, long, angry cuts that screamed rage more than strategy. I took photos with my phone and called the police, though I already knew they wouldn't find anything useful. "Any idea who might have done this?" Officer Martinez asked, scribbling in his notepad. I could have given him a list, but I just shook my head. No idea. After he left, I called a tow truck and started my morning coffee. The attacks were escalating, just like Hazel's notes had predicted. She'd written about this phase. They'll get desperate before they get smart. My doorbell rang while I was waiting for the tow truck. Through the peephole, I saw Brinley on my front porch, mascara streaked down her cheeks, clutching a duffel bag. "Lexis, thank God you're home." She pushed past me before I could stop her. "I need a place to stay, just for a few days." "What happened to your apartment?" "Evicted." She dropped her bag in the hallway like she owned the place. "My roommate bailed and I couldn't make rent. You know how it is." I didn't know how it was. I'd never been evicted because I'd never spent my rent money on designer handbags and bottle service. "There are hotels, Brinley." "With what money? Come on, we're family. Sisters stick together." She grabbed my hands, her grip desperate. "I just need to get back on my feet. A week, maybe 2. "And then what?" "Then I'll figure something out. Maybe you could help me with a deposit on a new place. You know, now that you're—" She gestured vaguely at the house. "Rich." I wasn't going to say that. But that's what you meant. Brinley's face crumpled. "Please, Lexis, I have nowhere else to go. Mum won't even take my calls, and Violet's in Miami with her perfect life. You're the only one who ever gave a damn about family." The manipulation was so obvious it was almost insulting, but I let her stay, partly out of curiosity, and partly because I wanted to see what she'd do next. She made herself at home immediately, raiding Hazel's liquor cabinet and leaving wet towels on the antique furniture. By day 3, she was bringing men over, different ones each night, loud and drunk and careless with Hazel's things. "Could you keep it down?" I asked, after finding a cigarette burn on Hazel's dining table. "Some of us are trying to sleep." Sorry. Brinley didn't look sorry. "We'll be quieter." They weren't. I started recording everything. The noise, the damage, the parade of strangers tracking mud through Hazel's house. I also started noticing things going missing. Small things at first. A silver letter opener, some vintage costume jewellery, a crystal paperweight. When Hazel's gold compact disappeared from the mantel, I'd had enough. "We need to talk," I told Brinley the next morning. She was nursing a hangover with leftover wine and yesterday's mascara. "About what?" "About the things that keep disappearing." "I don't know what you mean." I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo I'd taken of the mantel 3 days ago, then another from this morning. "Hazel's compact. Where is it?" "How should I know? Maybe you moved it." Brinley. "Fine. Jesus, it's just sitting there collecting dust. I needed cash for groceries." "You sold Hazel's compact for grocery money." "It's not like she's using it." Brinley's voice turned shrill. "You have millions now, Lexis, millions, and you're worried about some old makeup case?" "Get out." "What?" Pack your stuff and get out, now. You can't be serious. I'm your sister. My sister wouldn't steal from Hazel's grave. Brinley's face twisted with rage. You think you're so much better than us, don't you? St. Lexis, the perfect granddaughter? Well, guess what? Hazel's dead, and you're still just a sad, lonely loser playing dress-up in a dead woman's house. I held the front door open. Goodbye, Brinley. After she left, I called Randall. I need to increase security on the house, and I want to file a police report about the theft. Of course. Anything else? Yeah, I want to know about filing restraining orders. That bad? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a notification. Violet had posted a new Instagram story, and someone had tagged me in it. The video showed her in what looked like a lawyer's office, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. The caption read, "Sometimes family betrays you in the worst ways, fighting for what's right, even when it hurts. Justice for Grandma Stock family first. Child truth will win." The comments were already pouring in. What happened, babe? You're so strong. Family drama is the worst. Stay strong, Queen. Spill the tea. We're here for you. My phone rang. Randall. Lexis, I just got served. Gabriella filed a lawsuit this morning. She's claiming undue influence, elder abuse and mental incapacity. She's also requesting an emergency injunction to freeze the estate assets. Can she do that? She can try. We'll fight it, but it's going to get ugly. And expensive. How expensive? Legal fees could run into the hundreds of thousands, maybe more if this drags out. After I hung up, I sat in Hazel's kitchen, staring at the empty space where her compact used to sit. The house felt different now. Violated. They brought their poison into the one place that had been safe. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mum. We need to talk. This has gone far enough. Then another from an unknown number. I know what you're planning. It won't work. A friend. And finally, one more from Landon. Heard you're going through a tough time. I'm here if you need someone to talk to. Coffee? I turned off my phone and went upstairs to Hazel's bedroom. The mirror was still open, revealing the empty hiding space behind it. But there was something I'd missed before. A small envelope taped to the back of the mirror itself. Inside was a single key and a note. For when they show their true faces, the real treasure isn't money, dear one. It's knowing who people really are. The key was old, brass, with an ornate head. It didn't match any lock I'd seen in the house, but something told me I'd need it soon. That night, I dreamed of Hazel sitting in her favourite chair, smiling that knowing smile. They're showing you exactly who they are, she said in the dream. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I woke up with the answer already forming in my mind. The key fit perfectly into a small safe hidden behind Hazel's bedroom closet. Inside were manila folders, each labelled with a family member's name. Hazel hadn't just been watching, she'd been investigating. Bank statements, credit reports, court documents, medical records, everything you'd need to destroy someone's life, organised with the precision of a military operation. I opened Gabriella's folder first. Student loan debt, $347,000, 3 maxed-out credit cards, a mortgage she couldn't afford, and something interesting, a disciplinary complaint filed with the State Bar Association for mishandling client funds. The complaint had been withdrawn, but the paperwork was all there. Violet's folder was thicker. Screenshots of her Instagram posts next to receipts showing she couldn't afford half the lifestyle she flaunted. Fake designer bags bought from knockoff sites, vacation photos taken at a friend's house, not the luxury resort she'd claimed, and bank statements showing she was 3 months behind on her car payments. Brinley's folder made me sick. Sugar daddy arrangements documented in explicit detail, photos, text messages, bank transfers. She'd been selling herself to pay for her party lifestyle, and Hazel had evidence of all of it. But Mum's folder was the worst, bankruptcy papers from 2 years ago that she'd hidden from everyone, a second mortgage on her house, and medical bills, lots of them, cancer treatment she'd never told us about, paid for with credit cards and loans she couldn't afford. My hands were shaking as I closed the last folder. Hazel had given me nuclear weapons. My phone rang. Randall. "The injunction hearing is tomorrow at 10, he said. Gabriella's pulling out all the stops. She's claiming you isolated Hazel, manipulated her medications, even forged documents. Can she prove any of that? She doesn't have to prove it. Just convince a judge there's enough doubt to freeze the assets while the case proceeds. And she's good, Lexis. Very good." After I hung up, I stared at the folders spread across Hazel's bed. I could end this tomorrow. One phone call to the Bar Association about Gabriella's misconduct. A few anonymous tips to Violet's sponsors about her fake lifestyle. Some carefully placed information about Brinley's activities. But something held me back. Maybe it was the last shred of the person I used to be, the one who still believed family meant something. That lasted until Mum showed up at my door. "We need to talk." She pushed past me without waiting for an invitation, just like Brinley had. "This lawsuit is tearing the family apart. I'm not the one who filed it. You're the one who caused it." She settled into Hazel's favourite chair like she owned it. "Lexis, be reasonable. $7 million is more money than you could spend in a lifetime. Share it with your family." "Why should I?" "Because we raised you, because we're your blood, because it's the right thing to do." I sat across from her, studying her face. She looked older than I remembered, tired. The cancer treatments had taken their toll, even if she'd hidden them from us. "When were you going to tell us you were sick?" Her composure cracked for just a moment. "What?" "The cancer, the treatments, the medical bills that bankrupted you." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Mum, I know. Hazel knew. She left me everything, including the truth about all of you." Mum's face went white. "She had no right." "She had every right. You want to know why she left me everything? Because I was the only one who loved her without wanting something in return. You all saw dollar signs. I saw a lonely old woman who needed someone to care." "That's not true." "Isn't it? When's the last time you visited her just to visit? When's the last time you called without asking for something?" Mum stood up, her hands shaking. "You don't understand the pressure I was under. The bills, the treatments. So you decided to circle like a vulture, waiting for her to die so you could pay them off with her money. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" She couldn't answer. After she left, I sat alone in the gathering darkness, Hazel's folders still spread around me like tarot cards predicting everyone's doom. My phone buzzed. Landon again. "Heard about the lawsuit. That's rough. Want to grab dinner and talk about it?" This time I answered, "Sure, Luigi's at 7. Perfect. Can't wait to see you." Luigi's was the same Italian place we used to go when we were dating. Landon was already there when I arrived, looking exactly the same. Tall, handsome, successful. The kind of man who'd never had to choose between rent and groceries. "Lexis." He stood to hug me and I let him. "You look different." "Different how?" "Stronger, more confident." He held my chair out for me. Inheriting all that money must feel incredible. There it was, not even 5 minutes in, and he'd already mentioned the money. "It's complicated, I bet. Family drama always is." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to that intimate tone I remembered. "I've been thinking about us a lot lately, about what we had. What we had ended when you decided I wasn't ambitious enough." "I was young and stupid. I didn't appreciate what I had." His hand covered mine across the table. "But I see you now, Lexis. Really see you. You're amazing." "Amazing or rich?" He laughed like I'd made a joke. "Can't it be both?" I pulled my hand away. "Where were you 3 years ago when I was changing Hazel's bedpans and clipping coupons? Where were you when I was eating ramen for dinner because I'd spent my grocery money on her medications?" "I didn't know." "You didn't want to know. None of you did. But now that there's money involved, suddenly everyone wants to be close to me. That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I stood up and dropped a 20 on the table. Thanks for dinner, Landon, and thanks for reminding me why I don't need people who only want my light when it's convenient for them. Lexis, wait. But I was already walking away. That night I made my decision. I opened my laptop and started typing. The first email went to the State Bar Association with Gabriella's disciplinary file attached. The second went to several of Violet's sponsors with screenshots of her fake lifestyle and real financial situation. The third went to a gossip blog that specialised in influencer drama. I didn't send anything about Mom or Brinley, not yet, but I saved the drafts just in case. As I was closing the laptop, I noticed a new notification on my phone. Someone had created a fake social media account using my name and posted Violet's private messages, the ones where she called Hazel a crazy old bat and me a pathetic loser. The post was already going viral. I stared at the screen, my finger hovering over the delete button. I could report it, have it taken down, claim someone was impersonating me. Instead, I turned off my phone and went to bed. Sometimes karma needed a little help getting started. The dominoes started falling faster than I'd expected. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The fake social media post had exploded overnight. Over 2 million views and counting. Violet's private messages were being shared across every platform, dissected by strangers who'd never heard of our family before yesterday. The messages on my phone ranged from supportive, "You go girl, family like that deserves what they get," to vicious, "You're a vindictive bitch who destroyed your own sister." I deleted them all without reading most of them. Randall called at 8 a.m. sharp. "The injunction hearing's been postponed," he said. "Gabriella's dealing with some professional issues this morning." "What kind of issues?" "The State Bar Association received an anonymous complaint about her conduct. They're launching an investigation. She can't represent anyone until it's resolved." I made appropriate surprised noises while stirring my coffee. "There's more," Randall continued. "Tate's in hot water too. Someone tipped off the City Planning Commission about his shell company dealings. They're reviewing all his recent property transactions for fraud." "That's terrible." "Lexis, I have to ask, do you know anything about these complaints?" "Why would I know anything about that?" "Because the timing is awfully convenient." I took a sip of coffee. Sometimes the universe has a sense of justice. After I hung up, I checked the news. Violet's story had been picked up by several gossip sites. Influencer exposed, the ugly truth behind the perfect life was trending on 3 platforms. Her follower count was dropping by the thousands. My phone rang, Violet sobbing. "Lexis, you have to help me, they're destroying me. My sponsors are dropping me, my followers hate me." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Don't give me that fake sympathy, I know this was you." "How could it be me? I don't even have social media." "Someone used your name. Someone posted my private messages." "That's identity theft. You should report it to the police." "The police?" "Lexis, please, I'm losing everything. My whole career, my income. I can't pay my rent without sponsorship deals." "Maybe you should have thought about that before calling Hazel a crazy old bat." The line went quiet except for her crying. "I was angry," she whispered. "I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did. You meant every word." She hung up. An hour later, Brinley called. "Is it true about Violet?" Her voice was shaky. "About the messages?" "What messages?" "Don't play dumb. Everyone's talking about it. They're saying she called Grandma horrible names, said you were pathetic." "Did she say those things?" Silence. "Brinley?" "Yeah, she said them, but we all say things when we're upset." "Do we?" "Because I've been upset plenty of times, and I've never called any of you pathetic losers." "This is different." "How?" "Because now you have power. You can destroy us if you want to." "I don't have to destroy you. You're doing it yourselves." She hung up too. By noon, the story had grown legs. A local news station picked it up. "Family feud over inheritance turns ugly." They'd somehow gotten hold of court documents from Gabriella's lawsuit, along with photos of the Graham estate. The reporter stood on my front lawn talking about bitter family disputes and the dark side of sudden wealth. I watched from behind Hazel's lace curtains as neighbours gathered to gawk. Mrs. Peterson from next door was being interviewed, describing me as a sweet girl who took such good care of her grandmother. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think you're so smart. This isn't over." Then another. "We know where you live." And another. "Enjoy your blood money while you can." I screenshot each message and forwarded them to Randall, then to the police. Officer Martinez called back within an hour. "We're taking this seriously," he said, "especially with the tyre slashing incident. Do you want us to increase patrols around your house?" "Yes, please." "Any idea who might be sending these?" I had several ideas, but no proof. Could be anyone. The story's gone viral. That afternoon I got a call from someone unexpected. Tate's wife, Sarah. "Lexis? It's Sarah. I hope you don't mind me calling." We'd barely spoken over the years. She was always polite at family gatherings, but distant. "What can I do for you, Sarah?" I wanted to apologise for Tate for all of this. I had no idea he was planning to take advantage of you. "Take advantage how?" "The development deal. He told me it was legitimate, that he was helping you get fair market value. But I found paperwork in his office. He was planning to buy your property through his shell company for $3 million, then flip it to real developers for $8 million. My grip tightened on the phone. He was going to steal $5 million from me. "I'm so sorry. I've filed for divorce. I can't be married to someone who would do that to family." After she hung up, I sat in Hazel's kitchen, staring at the afternoon light streaming through the windows. The house felt different now. Not like a refuge, but like a fortress under siege. My phone rang again. "Mum. Lexis, we need to stop this madness. The whole family is falling apart." "I didn't start this." "You're not stopping it either." "Why should I?" "Because we're family. Because this is destroying everyone." "Everyone destroyed themselves. I just stopped protecting them from the consequences." "Listen to yourself. This isn't the daughter I raised." "No," I said quietly. "The daughter you raised would have given you everything and apologised for not having more, but she's gone." I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening I sat alone at Hazel's dining table, eating take-out Chinese food from containers. The house was quiet except for the tick of the grandfather clock and the occasional creak of old wood settling. I pulled out the velvet pouch Hazel had given me that last night. I'd been carrying it with me everywhere, but I'd never opened it. Now seemed like the right time. Inside was a small brass key, different from the one that opened the safe. This one was older, more ornate, and wrapped around it was a piece of paper with an address I didn't recognise. At the bottom, in Hazel's handwriting, "One last treasure, only yours." I looked up the address online. It was across town in the old warehouse district. Street view showed a nondescript building with no signs or identifying marks. Tomorrow, I decided. Tomorrow I'd see what Hazel's final gift really was. But tonight, I sat in her house, surrounded by the wreckage of my family's greed, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. The warehouse address led me to a storage facility I'd never seen before. The key opened Unit 247, and when I rolled up the metal door, I gasped. Inside were dozens of boxes, filing cabinets, and furniture covered in white sheets. But what caught my attention was the envelope taped to the first box marked "Read this first." Hazel's handwriting filled 3 pages. "My dearest Lexis, if you're reading this, then my plan worked perfectly. What you see here isn't just storage, it's documentation. Every cruel word, every manipulation, every time they showed their true faces. I've been recording them for years, waiting for someone worthy to inherit not just my money, but my mission." I opened the first box. USB drives, labelled by date and family member. Audio recordings, video files, photographs. Years of evidence showing exactly who my family really was. "The money was never the real test," Hazel's letter continued. "The real test was whether you'd use power to heal or to harm. You've passed, my dear. Now comes the choice: revenge or redemption." The last box contained something unexpected. architectural plans for the Graham estate, but not restoration plans. These were blueprints for converting it into something else entirely, a residential facility for elderly women without family support. I always planned to leave the house to someone who would use it to help others, Hazel had written. The question was whether that someone would be you. My phone rang. Randall. Lexis, I have news. Gabriella's dropped the lawsuit. What? Her bar investigation turned up some serious misconduct. She's facing suspension, possibly disbarment. She can't afford to fight you anymore. And Tate? The City Planning Commission found evidence of fraud in 3 of his deals. He's looking at criminal charges. I closed Hazel's letter and walked through the storage unit, pulling sheets off furniture. Everything here was beautiful, well-maintained, ready to be used. She'd been planning this for years. Randall, I need to ask you something. How much would it cost to convert the estate into a residential care facility? That's a big project. Permits, renovations, staffing. Probably 2 million, maybe 3. And how much to run it annually? Depends on the size, but with your inheritance properly invested, it could be self-sustaining. After I hung up, I sat among Hazel's boxes and made my decision. The next morning, I called a family meeting. They all came, probably hoping I'd finally cracked under the pressure. Mum arrived first, looking older and more fragile than I'd ever seen her. Violet came in wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, trying to hide from the paparazzi that had been following her since the story broke. Brinley stumbled in last, clearly hungover. "Thank you all for coming," I said, standing in Hazel's living room. "I have an announcement." "If this is about the lawsuit," Violet started, "the lawsuit's been dropped. Gabriella withdrew it this morning." Mum's face showed the first hint of relief I'd seen in weeks. "I've been thinking about what Hazel would want," I continued, "about what family really means." "Finally," Brinley muttered. "Some sense. So I've decided to honour her memory by converting this house into a residential facility for elderly women who don't have family to care for them." The silence was deafening. "What does that mean for us?" Mum asked carefully. "It means the house will serve its purpose, and as for the rest of the inheritance—" I paused, watching their faces. "I'm setting up trust funds." Violet perked up. "Trust funds?" "For addiction treatment, debt counselling and job training. Each of you will receive exactly what you need to get your lives back on track, but the money can only be used for approved expenses. No cash payouts." "That's not fair," Brinley exploded. "It's our inheritance too." "No," I said quietly. "It's Hazel's inheritance, and she left it to me to use as I see fit." Mum was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. "Lexis, I'm sick. The medical bills will be paid in full. I've already spoken to Randall about setting up a medical trust for your treatment. And my career." Violet's voice was small. "Everything I built is gone." "Then build something real this time. The trust will pay for business classes, legitimate training, but no more fake lifestyle, no more lies." I pulled out 3 envelopes from Hazel's desk. "These are your trust agreements. Sign them and you'll have support to rebuild your lives properly. Don't sign them and you get nothing." One by one, they signed. After they left, I stood alone in the house that would soon be filled with women who needed care, women who'd been forgotten by their families, just like Hazel had been. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Saw the news about your care facility. My grandmother could use a place like that. When will you be open?" Then another. "You're an inspiration. The world needs more people like you." And another. "Your grandmother would be so proud." I walked through the empty rooms, imagining them filled with laughter and conversation, with women who deserve dignity in their final years. The afternoon light streamed through Hazel's lace curtains, casting patterns on the hardwood floors that would soon echo with new footsteps. In the kitchen, I made myself a cup of cocoa the way Hazel had taught me. Real vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, whipped cream made by hand. I sat in her favourite chair and looked around at the house that had been my refuge, my fortress, My inheritance. A neighbour knocked on the door, Mrs. Peterson from next door. Lexis, dear, I heard about your plans for the house. It's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you. Are you planning to sell it then, for the facility? I smiled, the same knowing smile I'd learned from Hazel. No, Mrs. Peterson, I'm not selling anything. I'm building something that can't be stolen. She nodded approvingly and walked away. That night, I sat at Hazel's desk and began writing letters to the future residents of the Graham House for Women. Letters welcoming them home, promising them dignity, assuring them they wouldn't be forgotten. Outside, the old house settled into evening with its familiar creaks and sighs, but they sounded different now, not like decay but like anticipation, like a house getting ready to live again.